Hey, what's going on, everybody? I don't think we're going to have Sheets because he had a family thing come up. So we're going to be battling through this giant slate together. It's ridiculous when you have 15 games on a baseball slate. There are so many spots to attack that like eating chalk does feel bad. Obviously, the Dodgers are rating so much significantly better than everybody else. And I'm just keeping my rule the same. No more than 4. And I think you can do that because everybody you can co-stack them with if you want to do a 4-4 or them as a 3-5. All the other stacks are going to be low owned enough to where if you get the pieces right, you still, I think, are going to be fine. Like I'm on to Pittsburgh a little more than I was earlier, partly because they're a good value. I'm on to San Diego a little bit more. But I still really like the Dodgers. I really like Texas. And the team I want to make sure to get a little bit of exposure to is Toronto. Obviously the Dodgers and Texas are, the spend up whatever stack. The Dodgers are the chalk. Texas is going to be much lower owned than they would be because of it. So I like Texas as a potential complementary. And because of it, I'm getting a little bit weird with pitching. Right now, my pitchers are, we're going to have to ban somebody already. So we're going to have to, sorry about that. These idiots, these RPS idiots just got to stop with this nonsense. Okay, so we'll talk about the pitching. So I am going to be below the field on Ohtani and Gausman by the end of the day. I'm paying down a lot as far as pitching goes. I still am shocked that even as I'm paying down, I'm not doing the David Peterson thing. I'm not doing Tyler Wells, although I don't mind it. I am doing Zach Gallen, and I'm actually using Zach Gallen on FanDuel. For those of you who see my early builds, you've already seen that. But I do like Zach Gallen. I'm getting to some Martin Perez, Ranger Suarez. I'll be way over the field on him. I have some Jordan Montgomery, which feels a little weird. And I have some Gavin. I have a lot of Gavin Williams. He's the one I'm higher on. I'm also going to even get some Irvin in there. Okay, this is really weird that this is happening. So I might have to just, this is getting kind of crazy. The RPS people have got to stop. I've never done any of that stuff in my life. Not to mention that it doesn't matter even if I did, but I never have, swear on my life, in my life, never, ever. And just please leave me alone. This kind of hounding and harassment and stuff, it's just like a really bad look for RPS and everywhere that these guys go going forward. It's really strange to keep doing this. I don't understand why it's happening, and it's just really, really frustrating. It's really hard to get through when this nonsense keeps going on. Anyway, we'll move back to the slate, guys. Please fire in your questions, say what's up, and we'll figure out the rest of this together. So I'm going to go position by position and sort of give you my ownership. I'm still going to be building a little bit after the show, but my catchers are going to be Raleigh, Jonah Heim, Gary Sanchez, and Will Smith. First base, which gives you, I really like Seattle too, even though I'm playing some Irvin on, where I'm not playing Seattle. First base, Freddie Freeman, Nate Lowe, Cassis. If you want to be bold and go for the San Diego stack and hope that they get more at-bats, one of either Dixon or Nelson Cruz. But Freeman, Lowe are my two favorites. Second base, Vargas, Semien, Haesung Kim, and I have a little bit of Julian. He just sort of fit in. One of the advantages he has is that even if you get, Elder struggling, he's probably going to pitch long enough. And I just like him getting more. The only thing I worry about with him is ever, just getting the at-bats. We've seen him get pulled in the second inning before, like last week. Third base, Max Muncy. I have some weird Evan Longoria, and it's just some of the stuff I looked at today made me like him in a weird price point, but I don't know if I'm going to end up with that. It's really more Muncy, Machado, and Eugenio Suarez. Shortstop, Crawford, Seager, Castro for Pittsburgh, and Betts. Outfield, all the Seattle guys, Rodriguez, Klinick, Teoscar, all the Dodger guys mixed in, and then the entire Pittsburgh outfield for value, Sawinski, Henry Davis, and Palacios. That's where I'm at. What? I don't understand what this is even about. Like, it's just getting kind of ridiculous. All right, guys, fire on questions, fire on in thoughts. Otherwise, we might make it an early show tonight and move on. Is the Mets game going to be played, or would I fade it? So that's the game that has the most concern. I don't really like that game anyway. I do think the Mets are a viable stack along with many others, but like, and again, I'm not as into the David Peterson thing as it seems like the field is. So I personally am just avoiding it. But I'm just as of right now, I'm not going to do much. And I'll give a shout out to Roth. I'm probably going to let him help decide some of that. Thanks, Rody. I appreciate it. So I like this question from Banks about the pitcher on FanDuel, because I actually think it's a really good spot to. It's completely reasonable for Zach Gallen to outscore both Gausman and Shohei tonight. So if I use him, I can play 4 Dodgers with 4 whoever's, and I think I can get away with it, especially in large field small buy-in. So I like Gallen, but obviously Ohtani and Gausman are generally the correct answers. I would spend up on FanDuel. There's plenty of ways to get guys in. Nobody's overly expensive for the most part. They're pretty reasonable. So I think you can definitely spend up on pitching. I'm using Gallen as a pivot off of the chalk, and I think you're going to get him at like between Gausman. If he outscores Gausman and Ohtani, well, you're ahead of like 90% of the field. Like not 90, but you know what I mean, 70% of the field, maybe not quite that high, but really, really high percentage. Other guys, let's see. So my pitching right now is, and it's gonna get tightened up and spread out a little bit. Right now I'm down to 12% Ohtani, 12% Gausman, and I'm only playing them together. I have 20% Perez, 10% Brady Singer, 40% Williams. Look, if you like a play, I think you go for it sometimes, and he's really cheap. This play may not work for me today. I think it has a good chance to, and I think even if it doesn't work for me today, I'm going to keep riding this guy. I think he's going to be a lot better than people think. He worked well after a bad start to the game, and so hopefully he can just keep it clean long enough. He's 5,900. Brian Wu, I have 35%. Jordan Montgomery, I have 15%, and Ranger Suarez, I have 30%. The rest of it's sort of just mixing and matching a few other things. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely some Seattle for me today. 150. I like Seattle a lot. I also think that, look, there's a lot of good stacks out there, and you could just say, well, they're playing in one of the worst hitters parks. Why do we want to do it? They're a boom bust offense. I'm going to take a shot with them tonight. I think that they're reasonable, and I do like some Seattle tonight. A favorite pitcher stack on FanDuel. I went through the pitchers that I like. I like the Gallen thing. I like San Diego's pricing over there a lot, and I like the Dodgers, obviously. But they're, very, very easy to get in, and we'll see. We're still waiting on a Dodger lineup, so a lot of the stuff that's happening is, one thing you're going to have like low on FanDuel and get a way to play a 4-man Dodger stack on FanDuel is if Austin Barnes is in the lineup, you could play him. And I actually think that's, I said earlier today, I think that's the reasonable guess that he would be in the lineup today, but we will see. All right. This is so ridiculous. All right. So back to the non-nonsense. Byron, any other thoughts? You guys, let me know the stacks you like. Maybe there's some that you like that I'm not on that I didn't mention. I mean, there's a bunch that I have as viable. Toronto, Milwaukee mini stack I think is viable. Miami to some extent, Minnesota, Philadelphia lefties. I do think, even though I like Gavin Williams, KC is certainly an option. So is Cleveland. They just didn't make it for me. I don't want to be the guy who plays 50 different stacks and then hopes that it goes right. I'm going to stick to my Seattle, Texas as my main one, and San Diego as my main ones, with the Dodgers as my fillers, and use the Dodgers a little bit where I'm totally unique at pitching, and that means both guys like sub 10%, and also am getting a low on secondary stack. That's the only way I would use them as even a 4-man. So that's the way I'm playing it. I didn't. No, Barr's good. He didn't do anything wrong. I only was trying to get out the other guys that might have done it too much at once. Am I getting to Abbott at all? So I'm not getting to Abbott. The price is a little bit more than I want to pay, but I actually think it's a viable route. Like if you wanted to do it, I'm not going to tell you it's wrong. It just, I didn't end up spending in that 8K range very often. I either went up or down. I'm not saying it's right. That's just what I'm doing, but I have no problem with Abbott. If you want to take that shot, I think it's reasonable. Yeah, so the thing is, Boston is I actually I don't know, I can't quite get myself sold on a full Boston stack against. I know Alcantara has been bad, but like one thing, I mean, he's walked more guys this year, so you can take that, I guess. He's given up more home runs this year, so there's that. But like I just don't like stacking against guys I know to be really good pitchers, and even as he struggles, it's not like you kind of need you need BABIP to really be on your side for that one. Reds is definitely not a stack for me. And even if a guy loves to give up home runs, maybe you pick out some home run spots. But one thing about Wells is Wells hasn't been lit up like this year. You wouldn't take one game that he actually started where he wasn't just pitching, like trying to rehab his arm. You wouldn't take one game that he's pitched against him, not one bad spot. He gives up some home runs. You want to pick out a home run spot. You want to play Ellie De La Cruz at 7 million. I think it's totally fine. Any of the other guys totally fine with me as home runs. You could play. Votto's expensive now. Fraley is expensive. They're all really expensive, but I think you could play. I wouldn't play them as a stack though. No problem, Chris. I do like the Rangers a lot, along with Seattle, which is totally different prices. I like mixing both those teams with the Dodgers, and I like you doing the same with San Diego. But I'm very high on Texas as a stack tonight. Look, it may not work. It's not going to work every night. It's baseball. You're going to have high variance, but I don't ever feel bad when I build a Texas stack. A little bit disappointed Josh Young isn't in the lineup tonight. He's one of my guys I love to roster, but you do have the cheap outfield now with Jankowski, Grossman, Duran, all super cheap. And then you can use the Josh Smith as the minimum cost if you want to. So there's some upside and downside from it. You're trying to, Matt Manning coming back, actually a guy who we may end up using in the future for DFS. But certainly a guy we don't mind going after. And more importantly, I still don't buy the Detroit bullpen is even not as bad as it looks. Texas roof is closed. Yes, it's going to be closed basically most of the rest of the year. But Texas is just, for those of you who aren't paying attention, Texas has basically been the best offense in baseball right along with Atlanta. And it's pretty amazing. I'd rather use them away from Texas, of course, because that stadium when it's closed is not as good for hitters, although they made it better than they did when they first built the stadium. But that is one issue with the Texas thing. It was tough. I'm assuming I play Tatis over Acuna. Today I would. I didn't even I don't see where that play comes in as much for me because Joe Ryan is one of the better pitchers in baseball and he could get hit today. But if you're going to play Acuna at 6,600, what are we talking about here? I'd rather take the splits and the wind blowing out. You got good hitting weather in both places, I guess, look, they're both totally fine. You can play Acuna every day, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just would play Tatis more because I'm playing more San Diego. I'm not playing any Atlanta. I don't have one share of Atlanta. I don't have one Atlanta player amongst all my lineups as of right now. It may change in the next 45 minutes, but as of right now, I don't have one Atlanta player. So I always think Acuna, you can't say there's even the worst matchup in baseball is not a bad matchup for him. Look at this guy's numbers. I mean, look what he does. All he does every night is he puts up 10 to 30, and occasionally you'll get the really crazy game, but he just is a fantasy point scoring machine. I can't ever say that Acuna is not. And for what it's worth, I think Acuna is actually a better player than Tatis, but they're both top. You're talking about two of the best 8 players in baseball, maybe even a little higher than that, maybe 6 players in baseball. And we haven't seen I don't know. We had Tatis hurt for a while, but he's still just a monster. So it's like splitting hairs if you just have a random one-off. I'll tell you what, you will get much lower ownership on Acuna, but I don't know if that's going to matter that much on a slate like this outside of the Dodgers. Still waiting on that Dodger lineup. Would be nice to get because that is a big piece of news. And my guess is that it has to do with Muncy. It's annoying. This is the time I can call them annoying. They usually do the 3 hours before, and that's fine. We're now looking at 2 hours and 25 minutes before the game. We should have a Dodger lineup by now. No problem, Abrar. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Guys, if you don't mind hitting the like button before you get out of here, we really appreciate it. Keep firing in any more questions. I will probably leave as soon as the questions drop because I told you what I'm doing. Just to reiterate, I am spreading out a little bit at the lower end of pitching and using very little Ohtani and Gausman, and where I'm using them, I will be using them together. I did the same thing yesterday with my lineup that almost had a shot for a minute to make a run in the 250. Ended up 9th, but it was the 2 double spend ups a pitcher. And I'm going to do the same thing tonight in my 250 probably. And then in my 888s and all the other stuff, I'll be going different directions. Anyway, I appreciate all you guys very much. And thanks for tuning in. Please give us a like before you get out of here. And please let me know if you have any other questions. And I'm happy to answer whatever else you got. Again, Texas, Seattle, San Diego. And then you get into the Dodger pieces. 4 men or less is my rule for the day. If I had to pick a next one, maybe Cleveland or KC because the hitting conditions are so good. But honestly, all the other ones look similar. Actually, in Toronto would be the other stack. And I might end up just making one F-it Toronto stack against the Ryan Walker bullpen. Ryan Walker, then the long relief of Alex Wood, who I actually don't even think is that bad a pitcher. But like you just put a lefty against the lineup that they're running out there today, and it's going to happen to me. Toronto's going to have this happen. They're going to have a 3-home run first inning or something off of, or not first inning, I guess in this case it'd be a second or third inning. But that's what they do. These guys just have historically very, very good power against lefties when you talk about Bichette, Springer, Chapman, Guerrero, especially. But everybody through the lineup is viable, even the lefty of Varsho and Belt. So I'm totally good with Toronto as my next, call it my 5th favorite, I guess. Anyway, guys, all right. I appreciate you all very much. Favorite Philly you like for a one-off? Actually, I would usually say that the answer is going to be Bryce Harper. Today, I'm a little more into the Schwarber. He gets the extra at bat. He's going to swing for the fences. The wind blowing in won't affect him as much. They both could just crush the ball, but I would say Schwarber slightly ahead of Bryce. I wouldn't leave 400 on the table probably, but I would probably, if I had to pick one, I would probably pick Schwarber as my home run bet right there. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. All right.